Hey, beautiful thrivers. I'm away camping at the moment and it's really windy and noisy outside. So I thought I'd come into the car to do this Thriver TV. So I'm sorry if there's any kind of stuff in the back of the car, but here it is, because I really want to have a talk to you about how to flush out a narcissist. And it's all beautiful people I'm camping with. There's no problem whatsoever. However, in everyday life, a narcissist could be anywhere. They could be in your workplace. They could be somebody who comes into your friendship circle. And of course, it could be your next potential intimate partner. Okay, it could be anybody. It could be somebody you bump into in the supermarket. And it's important to understand how to flush out a narcissist. And I promise you it's very, very easy. And we're going to get into how to do that. But the thing is, narcissists don't walk around with a t-shirt saying, hey, here I am, I'm a narcissist. You know, rather, they're really cordial and lovely and charming and helpful. And you could easily mistake them as beautiful people, even if you know everything about narcissists. So that's why it's important to be able to flush them out. And again, it's easy when you understand how to. But the other reason why it's so important to understand how to flush out a narcissist is so that you can be free to be yourself, to expand in life, to pursue your missions and your purposes and your joy, and to fully unleash the incredible power and truth of the sovereign self that you are, of the source self, which is more of source sourcing through you. And this is the key to flushing out narcissists. I want you to think of the metaphor of a vampire. So, okay, you could see or meet this ghoulish person and you might think, well, their skin's a bit pasty and their eyes are a bit red, but you don't know they're a narcissist. And let's say it's kind of dark and dingy, but then all of a sudden this light streams through a window and hits this person and they start screeching and recoiling and they have to run back into the shadows. And you're like, oh my God, that was a narcissist. Sorry, that was a vampire. Know this. And I nearly slipped because they're really the same thing. It could be argued that the myth of vampire was actually built on narcissism. And what it means is a parasitical self that has to feed on others as a dead entity or as a false self, as a no self, to be a self. And narcissists, when you shine a bright light on them, not literally, but metaphorically, with your authenticity, with the truth of who you are as yourself, they absolutely shriek and scream and pop. It's like the narcissist. They're exposed because they literally do pop. They can't deal with an authentic self. Now for us, how do we get to that? How do we get to that ability to just be ourselves? Well, it does. It takes development because we have wounds, we have shadows, we have a shadow self, which is the parts of ourselves that are injured and traumatized and we don't want to look at them, the parts of ourselves we don't really like, the parts of ourselves that are underdeveloped and they're hiding. And it's through our narcissistic abuse recovery work, the inner work, the quantum inner work, that we reach those shadows, those parts that hurt and ache and feel not good enough and insecure and traumatized and maybe even annihilated. And we hold those and we let them go and we bring in source to replace them, which is exactly what NARP does. The whole 10 modules is all about that, step by step. And what happens is the more that we bring in the source self, the true self, the light, we upgrade and up-level into a sovereign true self. And what is a true self? A true self is a real self. We've lost those childhood fears of crap, that if I speak up and if I'm myself, that I'm going to be criticized, rejected, abandoned, or punished. We lose those fears. And we know that if I'm myself with source and I'm standing in truth, it doesn't matter a crap who criticizes, rejects, or abandons me or tries to punish me, because I'm already full and whole. So rather than saying yes and just trying to go along to get along, even when it feels off in our body, we say no. And you can spin. You can criticize, you can reject, you can abandon, you can try to punish me, but I still stand in my truth. It just is. And that's okay. We're not a match. And this is the authenticity that a narcissist cannot stand. And they show themselves. This is the flushing out of a narcissist. Because when you're with a narcissist, before long, there are things that feel off in your body. There are things that feel nonsensical. They may lack compassion. They're just weird. They don't add up. Because you see, narcissists are not sensical. They don't make sense. They change the story. They do things where the actions don't match the words. They can't hold their mask up all the time. Things slip. And when we take our time with people and we're really having an inner communion and an inner relationship with ourselves, we listen to our intuition. Doesn't mean it's always going to be right, but we investigate and we speak up and we ask for clarification. Now, here's the thing with a narcissist. They have a false self, and this false self demands your compliance, demands your acquiescence, demands you to agree. And the most beautiful thing about it being a sovereign whole self, where we transcend those childhood fears that if I'm myself, you're not going to agree. We get past that. We're happy if you don't agree, because you've shown yourself to not be a whole, allowing adult human being in your body who can go along with humanity. Because we're clear on our values and our truths. You know, speaking up and standing for your soul truths, which is what's going on inside of your body. And we've done the work to get clear on what our values are and what our truth is. And we know it doesn't mean that we're too much of this or not enough of that, or we're not good enough, or we don't deserve the right to have our values and our truths respected. And of course, a narcissist will disrespect them, which just means, well, you're just not a match for me. That's okay. You're just not a match. But you see, what happens is narcissists, the cracks, when you're in your body and you're listening to yourself, the cracks are very apparent very, very quickly. And this is when you question, show up, or just be honest. And I want to give you an example, which I've given many times before, but just in case you haven't heard it, because it probably is one of the best examples that I could give you. When I was dating and I understood this, and I had no fear of narcissists, none at all, because I knew if I was myself, well, first of all, Source has my best interests at heart always. I'd done the recovery work. I knew Source had my back, and I knew that my soul and my intuition has my back. And if something's not right, it feels off in my body, and it's up to me to back myself up and be truthful about it. So anyway, I was on a third date with a gentleman. He ticked all of the boxes, aesthetically, intellectually, materially. He was really into me. He talked the talk, he walked the walk. And it was the third date, and of course, knowing what I know now, and I used to in the past, put more effort into buying a pair of shoes than connecting with a potential love partner. Absolutely. But I knew it takes time to ascertain a person's character and their values to see if they could be a good fit for a life partner. It's not something I'm going to rush into. So it was a third date, still all, of course, totally platonic. at a restaurant. There's no way knowing he was going to pick me up from my home. I didn't know him yet. I was getting to know him. I was screening him, and that's healthy. So anyway, the mask had slipped a bit. And this charming, wonderful guy started talking about the people at his workplace in a really demeaning way. I went to the bathroom and I came back and he said, "How do you think the third date's going?" And I said, "Well, actually, the way that you speak about your work colleagues, I find that really quite demeaning and concerning." Or something like that. Anyway, his face, from this really loving, warm face, went ashen, dark. He banged the table in a rage and screamed at me, "How dare you speak to me? The date is over." And I'm like, and in my head I'm going, wow, he's a narcissist. And me telling the truth just popped him off. And anyway, I said, "Yeah, sure, no worry, the date's over, that's fine." I said, "I'll pick up half the bill." And he said, no, I'll pay, or whatever. And I walked to the car and I was punching the air with joy. So happy. And I'm driving home and I'm singing and I was thrilled. Because the old me would have had that feeling like, ooh, that's a bit nasty. And I would have gone to the bathroom and I would have thought, oh no, you know, everybody has a bad night. I'm sure he's great. Everything else is so good. It's fine. I'll be able to deal with it. But I've learnt if I don't show up as a truth, honoring my authentic self and my intuition, then my life is at peril. It absolutely is. And we all know that. We did that. So this is the development. And I promise you, when you get your first victory, you might have already had it, of flushing out a narcissist because you showed up without the fear of the repercussions. The repercussions are fantastic. Fantastic. Because you get to the truth. If you show up as the truth, you'll get to the truth. But of course, we have to get past those childhood wounds and terrors of, if other people don't approve of me, I'm going to be annihilated. I'm going to be thrown out of the tribe. I'll starve. I'll die. We have lots of primal survival programs on this stuff. It's a part of the human collective, let alone our generational wounds, our past life wounds, and our childhood wounds, which NARP cleans all of them up. There's no way known I could have got past this stuff if I hadn't have done the inner corner freedom healing that NARP is. I hope this is speaking to you. I want to give you hope. My biggest mission is that nobody has to live in the fear of narcissists on any level. That you can be your sovereign true self, generating, manifesting more of you and source and your truth, and you just create this massive wake of light that narcissists run from screaming because they can't deal. They can only get to you through your shadows. Dark selves can only do that. Where there is light, there is no darkness, and this is exactly what that metaphor means. I really hope that this has spoken to you. I so do, because it's just so beautiful when you get there. Check out the link in the show notes, which is NARP. Have a read of the testimonies, and I want you to really feel into what I'm saying. Can you imagine what it'll be when you're free to be yourself without fear? Can you imagine how your true self, your true life can actually start unfolding from within you and have nothing to do with inauthentic others? Because that is the truth. All right. So lots of love. And remember, keep smiling, keep healing, and keep thriving. There's nothing else to do. And I'm going to go and enjoy these beautiful light beings who I'm with. I'm so blessed. Okay. And I know you are too. Lots of love. Bye-bye.